¿Y qué pasó?
And we're going to have a really fun conversation with Sonia Rivera and Juan Tato. And we're going to try to focus on teaching and learning in the Latin dance world, because we're all Latin dance teachers.
Yes.
And that's going to be fun. It's I would say personally, it's something that I'm in love with. I love teaching by nature. I'm also a public school teacher, so I just love to teach and to teach dance, which is one of my passions. It's just great. You just share the joy of teaching, which is fun. How do you guys feel about just being teachers in general?
Tato?
Mm-hmm.
Sonia, no, dale tú. Ladies first.
Oh, ladies first.
Now it works, huh?
Uh-huh.
No, it's fine. It's fine. How I feel about teaching? Well, it's been long month already, that we didn't start anything, not that much. But it's the same feeling always, like it's refreshing. It's really nice to see how people, like improve little by little, and how they trust you, in the process. How it get better and better. And every experience is completely different, every student learn in a different way. So you have to recreate yourself over and over, to try to get them to the final destination, which is the same, but
Yeah.
you have to create new ways to teach people. So it's really nice. I don't know, you guys, how you feel about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you could take it, Tato.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's a blessing. Is rewarding, and just the ability to be able to share something that I love and that is a passion of mine. It's a blessing, and the idea that you get so many different types of people coming to you, and you're able to share that. Like I said, it's rewarding at the end of the day, because a lot of times it's, even though the dancing is what you do, there's other aspects of the dance world, or what you
Claro.
share besides just the dancing. So as a teacher, it's definitely a reward, and a blessing at the same time.
You get to know so many people that do so many things, that when you start like getting familiar with them, because I don't ask, why you're here. Well, when we talk about that subject, I'm gonna get to there, but you, for the first time, you don't ask that much, but then you realize, oh my God, that's what you do for a living. Like, and you create this like family, extended family, with a lot of different talents. That is amazing. Así.
Yeah.
Tú sabes que tengo que hablar, no puedo hablar todo en inglés porque si no los peruanos y mi gente de Guatemala se me enojan. So I'm gonna do it in both, because
In Spanglish.
I have a lot of people in Peru that are always, watching what we do. So I tengo que también hacer algo para ellos, no los puedo dejar tirados atrás.
Sí, sí,
No,
sí.
sí, claro. We're going to try to start our topic with learning. So for this first part is going to be dedicated to everyone that is a current student, that was a student, that wants to become a student in the Latin dance scene. And we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about learning. I think one of the first questions that people ask is, which teacher should I go to, or which school should I pick? You do your Google search, y te salen 20, 30, 50, 10,000, 300 schools in your area. Like, which one do you pick? How do you know? Especially if you're not in part of the scene. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And if you, Sonia, if you want to start, and then we'll go our way down, is what do you think is one of the things that someone should keep in mind when they're picking the right teacher to start Latin dancing?
Definitely, I think that everybody can teach you something. Like, I don't say it, no, go to this school, go to this school. There's so many things that you have to consider taking classes, especially when you're doing, the basics. Basic is something that the foundation is really important. How you learn that foundation we're going to open doors to eventually get, like maybe a pro, but it depends what is your goal as a dancer. If you just want to go to simple social, enjoy with your family, with your maybe with your spouse and wife, wife and husband, it's fine, because then you don't have to research that much, right? But if you want to compete, if you want to get maybe be a teacher eventually and all that, then you have to get a little bit more deeper, on the qualification of the teachers that you're going to go the school, how many years they had, how many international, appearance they had, where did this teacher
Learn.
have no learn, and also where they went, like they teach in another, scene that is not just locally, that will gonna make a difference. But also that doesn't disqualify people that don't go and teach maybe outside of the town. I'm not saying that people don't have the experience. I'm just saying that it depends what you want to do on the scene, and what are your goals that maybe direct you a little bit, right? Where you want to go. What you guys think?
Yes.
Tatito, te toca a ti.
Yeah. No, I, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, from the point of the start of finding a teacher or school, I think a person needs to do the research. I think nowadays people really are better about it than before. I mean, I think people really go to their Google, do their they take a look at reviews and what have you. Just like in anything, we want to look at reviews. We want to know, okay, how is that product, or how is that person, or how's the doctor? What was the experience? So I think that now more than ever, or nowadays, people have the tendency to look at reviews or wanting to know before they go. And so from the point of beginning, you really, as a newcomer or as a new person, you have to do your research. You have to see basically what do they offer. Is that something that I'd want to learn, um, that I want to take, and then honestly, just like anything, I think it's give it a shot. I think just like Sonia said earlier, the student's gonna learn something from someone. And bottom line is, I think it's you got to find who's the best fit. That's it.
The connection.
Yeah.
Correct.
You
And
could connect with somebody else, yeah.
exactly. I mean, they come to you. You may have a connection with someone that you don't have with someone else, right? And so that energy and that connection is important. And the way the teacher communicates to the how he words it, or how they put it to where you get it, you understand it, and it makes sense to you, then I think then that's when you find something that's like I can really learn from that person.
Can I add
So
something? Sorry, yeah, that I just remember. I don't want to miss this point. Sometimes you have to see the plan, right? Because when you go to school and you see that they are organized, they have a plan of work with you, that will give you maybe a little bit more like confidence to start, because you know that they have a way to go through to the educational part, right? And that will tell you, maybe it's not 100% guarantee, but you have at least, like the God that this person know what he's doing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
Okay,
agree. I
okay.
mean, I agree in the sense of, I mean, if we're talking about the teacher, so um, basically those that are looking or searching for a teacher or a dance school, um, you have to do the research. And to more than anything, it's if you want to give it a try, just give it a try. I think just like in anything, you can go and see the classes. There are some places where they allow you to come in and just see how the classes are being
Yeah.
Yeah.
conducted, when they're being
We do that at our
conducted.
See,
studio.
if
Yeah.
it's a
You
good
know.
if it's a good studio,
Yep.
we
Mhm.
always give you like a free trial, so
Oh
you will
yeah.
see you know, the plan, and the teacher can see what you need.
Right.
Because it's like a doctor. You cannot give aspirin to everybody. You know, you have to see pretty much what are the symptoms.
That, and I think we'll talk about it more when we get to the teaching part, is please trust the process. This is for students. We're telling you, we're the teachers, and we're telling you to trust the process. A lot of these schools do have a curriculum, but what happens 9 times out of 10 is that some students want to go straight, for example, to the intermediate term pattern that they saw an intermediate student doing at a social. But we're begging you and pleading you to stick to the curriculum. It's for your own benefit.
You know how many people came to my studio when I used to had one, oh, I'm intermediate in, I don't know, in somewhere else, right? But remember that you're starting here, you know, at least give it a try, you know, to the basic, because I'm sure that you will learn a lot of stuff that maybe you don't know, you know, going back to basic. Basic is not bad. People, pros, what you see when you see them performing, what they do is a lot of basics, but well done with speed. And that's what they're doing. So it will not going to hurt you to go again to basics, because then you will practice and master things that you should do before you start jumping out, you know, and trying to learn intermediate or advanced moves. That's why you see a lot of people doing, sorry to say it like that, sucio, está sucio. Tienes un movimiento avanzado, you know, you have an advanced move, but it doesn't look good because you didn't clean at the beginning, you know, like cada vez que voy a un congreso, si tengo oportunidad, porque a veces de verdad I don't have any time, I go to basic to see how they are doing basic classes again, so I can catch something that maybe help me to do my basic better. And people don't get that. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I understand. Yo los entiendo, pero deberían de confiar más. Sí.
Sí, and I agree with you. I mean, that what trust. Listen to a scenario. You go to a studio. You've never met the teacher. You don't know what the process is, and sometimes, again, their perception is they're at a certain level of dancing. So when they come to you and tell you you're at a certain level of dancing, then how do you execute? What do you do to make sure that they are placed in the correct place where they are going to benefit from it, that just hold everybody hostage for an hour or hold everybody from learning and affect the learning process. So, you know, I think that if you have something in place when they come in, let's say for me on our end, anybody that comes in and tells me, mira, Tato, yo he bailado la vida entera, yo soy del medio,
matatán de la...
Yo bailo
aquí y allá. El internet aguanta lo que sea, tú puedes escribir lo que sea.
Sí. Yo bailo de esto, yo bailo lo otro. I said, not a problem, Papa. Here's what we're going to do. In order for me to put you in the correct class, I need to test you. I need to know if you know at least some of the fundamentals, some of the basic stuff. And once you execute that, olvídate, then we can just work on putting you in the correct class.
But we are forgetting something important too. If your teacher cannot do what they're trying to teach you, then you have a problem.
Oh, I know.
Porque hay un montón de gente que quiere enseñar
and you
y no puede hacer la mayoría de las cosas.
Well, we're going to talk about that when we do the teaching part. You know, because that's a problem on the teacher and not the student. But
correct.
The lesson there for students is if you walk in and you recognize that your teacher cannot do the very thing that they're trying to tell you to do, abort. One of the questions that we get a lot of time is because we're Latin dance school, so we're not just teaching salsa. I know salsa is our popular class, but we have cha-cha, we have bachata, centro, and all of these other stuff. So a lot of the questions that we get is which dance should I start first? Should I learn them all together?
It depends on the student.
I would say that they're, you know, learning salsa and learning bachata, they're two different genres. So in my experience, it's that, you know, it doesn't affect the other. So now if I want to teach how to dance on one and how to dance on two, that's when I get a little and say, okay, let me, primeramente, personally, and this is my experience teaching, let me teach you one, and then I'll come and teach you the other. So let's go and at least have some ground and some fundamentals in one of them. And then you can add on to the learning and continue and then make the transition and learn the other one. That way you are bilingual
contigo aquí,
rather than,
Tato.
vamos a fajar, vamos. So you're bilingual, right?
I'll just be a referee.
Right. So eso es lo que yo digo. Si va a comenzar uno, aunque sea, aprende lo fundamental. Learn the fundamentals of
lo
the
que él
one.
está diciendo, what you're saying, I'm agree, but look what I do. Maybe it will help us, like I'm learning from you. Maybe this will open a little bit your point of view. Yo lo pongo a él a que escuche la canción Why You Here, porque si es un estudiante que oye la conga, llevarlo a bailar en uno es difícil. Yo lo llevo, entonces le digo, espérate, vamos a escuchar, ¿qué tú oyes? Y si yo lo veo que sale en uno, pues este es un estudiante en uno, lo primero que aprender en uno. Pero si es un estudiante que me oye la conga, un viejito de Puerto Rico, ¿sabes qué? Va a aprender el 2, lo va a coger así de rápido. O sea, I watch first what you can hear. Because sometimes we want to teach, but if we pay a little bit more attention, they don't get frustrated, porque a veces le trato de enseñar a un bailador a bailar en uno, cuando él lo que oye es el 2 y lo frustro porque obviamente su corazón va en el 2, ¿ves? Por naturaleza. Entonces, pues, eso te a lo mejor, no quiero pelear contigo, Tato, tampoco, ¿verdad?
No, you're both right. You're both right.
Yeah, yo creo que, everybody has their philosophy, and I think,
claro.
I can't tell you, Sonia, or you, Kerry, how to, I don't know if I'm how to do it. But everybody goes to their experiences. Everybody goes to their, their years of teaching and seeing what is beneficial and what technique or what works for you the best.
Y no estoy en contra de lo que él dice, solamente que por la experiencia me ha tocado a lo mejor trabajar con gente. I work with people that get really frustrated because I'm trying to teach them something that they're not capable to do it at the beginning. So they focus, and they can focus on dancing on one because el oído lo traiciona.
I think it has to do, that's a learner thing. It's we're all different types of learners. There's also students that learn visually. Like, for example, at our studio, we used to buy the footprints. I don't know if you guys have seen those. And we had to put them on the floor and show them step on the blue, step on the yellow, step on the green, instead of just saying 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7.
Pero el que viene de cero, que no sabe nada, en uno, mételo ahí porque eso no tiene nada. Pero hay viejitos que vienen que lo que bailan es conga y no te cuentan tampoco. No le trates de decir 1, 2, 3, va a decir, no, espérate, Sonia, 1, 2, 3, no.
I would say if you're a student, just have your goals in mind of what you would like to do. If you went to a social and saw everybody's dancing salsa, and you say, okay, I want to learn how to dance salsa, then let us know your goal. But if you're coming eager because you went to a social and you saw, for example, Sonia y Tato bailando juntos y le dieron a la chacha, le dieron a la salsa, le dieron a la bachata, le dieron en uno, le dieron en dos, and then you walk into the studio and you say to the teacher, hey, I want to learn all of that they were doing.
Oh, no.
And they were like, pick one. Pick one and
recuerda que también dependiendo de es que no hay una combinación ganadora. We have an idea, but we have everybody's so different.
I think one of the other big things is how long does it take? Because people tend to get frustrated because they're not making mind-body connection. And I posted this a little while ago that a lot of people really need to understand. For example, if we're talking salsa, it's really, when you call someone a beginner, there's different types of beginners. You have someone that just started brand new, has never even touched a salsa. They don't know, only nomás when they eat it with chips y guacamole, and that's one type of beginner. But you also have a beginner that probably has been dancing maybe 3 months, that has taken a couple classes here and there. The labels are really difficult to define, but I would say that for you to just enter the level of beginner, it takes you about 6 months, and that's just someone that's walking,
I will say sometimes it gets more than 6 months. Even if it's hard to believe, yes. Remember, I have one person that told me once he got into the classroom, I remember, he was an old man, como 60 y pico de años, 70, algo así. Me dijo, yo quiero aprender la mitad de los pasos al día. Y yo, a rayo, tú me vas a tomar a mí 3 años. Y aprendía la mitad. Si era un pasito, él me decía, no, más nada, eso no más yo. Pero don Luis puede aprender un poquito más. No, eso no más. Y venía 3 veces en semana a aprenderse medio paso. O sea, it depends. You know, era una clase fácil y a la vez difícil porque no tenía que prepararme mucho, pero aguantar clases de 1 hora haciendo medio básico. No, I want to do it right. So it's just half of a basic, but well done. And I'm like, oh my God. Esto me va a tomar a mí mucho tiempo. Salió bailando, pero fue casi 1 año después.
Yeah. What do you think, Tato? How long does it take?
Yeah, I honestly think that that to define that and to say, listen, everybody's skill level is different. Every student learns at a different pace. You can't put it on, and you can't, put it on paper and say, in 6 months you're going to be this or you're going to be into this level. That, and it also depends on how much time does the student put in after they learn the material. How much is the student one of those students that actually gets the material and keeps and remembers the material, the following week, and which again comes with repetition and practice, offline. And so when you have students saying, hey, how long is it going to take me to, I say, look, everyone skill level is different. I can't tell you that, but I can tell you is this: we are going to be covering this in the next 6 weeks or in the next month or so. This is what we're going to be covering. So this is what basically we're teaching. But it's up to you what you get from that. But different levels. Mira, there's times where I have somebody that is so eager to learn, and I teach them the material today, and then the next week, guess what I'm doing? Teaching the same thing. And I do this when I have privates with someone. I say, listen, if we're going to have to work together on this. If you're going to pay me this amount of money para enseñarte y darte clase, you're going to have to work together. Porque next week when you come back, we need to keep evolving. We need to keep growing.
Yo no sé ustedes,
pero yo
doy asignaciones y todo, Kenny sabe.
Yeah,
I give homework.
I do that too.
You have to.
I do that too.
Because
remember that they need, this is a muscle memory, thing. And even if you know the names and the, like your basics, it's the way that you perform that, right? It's the way that you get the flow. So with repetition, is the only way that you will gonna free your muscles, to not think about it. So cuando la gente nos ve bailar, dice, ay, pero es que tú te ves tan libre. Claro, porque no lo tengo que pensar. I don't have to think.
I was just gonna say that. I was just going to say that. You want to get to a comfortable state. How do you know the move? When you can do it comfortable without injury, which is really big.
That if you repeat in front of a mirror, sometimes, like if I want to do this, I already know how my body will going to react to that. So I don't even need a proof because I already saw it so many times that I know that it's fine and look good. So it comes with repetition.
Conditioning, just like anything else, athletes and the conditioning of the body is very important, and the repetition and muscle memory is very important.
Yeah, it's very important. You have to be careful too. I tell this to all my students that you also want to be careful because we're talking repetition. We're telling you to practice. We're giving you homework and you're going home, but you have to be very careful about being about trying to emulate as much as you can the good instruction that we're giving you. Because if you repeat a Suzy Q wrong 300 times, then when you come back next week, then you're doing it wrong, So you want to be very careful.
Lo que cuesta quitar los malos hábitos.
Bad habits are really bad to break. Injuries is really big. And I think it's just more of, and we can talk a little bit about that, and maybe Tato can come in a little bit on that, but injury is a big part, and we want you guys to know that, yes, we want you to have a good time. Yes, we want you to look killer in the dance floor, but we also want you to be safe. And I know that I can't really remember the name, but it's one of our local dancers in Tampa. She had her shoulder dislocated on a simple right turn. I don't know if you guys remember who it was. And she had to it wasn't as simple as popping the shoulder back in. She had to have reconstructive surgery here. Surgery because they broke a tendon. Like on a simple
Pero a
right turn.
Gianna le fastidiaron un dedo también que tuvo que, me acuerdo que tenía la ex de Neri.
And we have, I've seen guys and I've seen photos of guys with thumbs dislocated because females tend to grip so that you can easily just break a thumb. So what do you think on the point of injuries and learning? What do you think, Tato?
Yeah, Tato, vuelve tú.
Sí, dale.
As far as I'm sorry, Sonia, but as far as that comes with fundamentals. I mean, that comes with basics. If you teach the proper fundamentals, the proper basics, then you're going to help kind of
minimize
injuries.
Thank you.
Not to say or claim that there's not going to be injury.
Yeah.
Mi gente, if you think that you're not going to get injured in any physical activity that you do, you're out of your mind.
You might lose a toenail.
Yeah.
You're out of your mind. But the fact is that this is a
contact sport.
Correct. And so you do have a connection, and you have to minimize how much you can hurt somebody by trying to execute specific turn patterns. So bottom line is, correct fundamentals as best as possible. And again,
you don't know how I suffer when I go to socials. Yo lo sufro. A veces no voy porque lo sufro porque no son problemas míos.
Sonia,
but it's like,
Sonia, pero ¿por qué tú no bebes? ¿Por qué tú no bebes? Te vas a comer, te bebes una bebida.
Mira,
para que no sufra tanto.
I know.
Porque es como el peluquero que va alguien engreñado. Es como que es lo mismo. You're suffering, watching somebody else.
It's okay.
Pero
I do tell my students tell my students sometimes that that's what some of the teachers do when we go to a social. We look. No, we look. We're drinking and we're looking. We're like. I want to talk about school recognition, respect, and awards. And one of the things that I wanted everyone to know is that there's no such thing as an award-winning Latin school. Are we okay on that? ¿Tú sabes de lo que yo estoy hablando?
Bueno,
okay.
Estamos hablando de los reconocimientos que hacen aquí de la escuela, ¿no?
Like best schools in Tampa Bay? Like, that doesn't exist. Am I right?
Bueno, es como los peluqueros y como otro que la gente vota y va yo no sé qué más y salen supuestamente las mejores escuelas. Yeah. Remember that's like contest when people clap to get the first place. Perdón que lo diga así, o sea, que yo soy muy sincera, yo digo las cosas como las veo, con respeto, porque yo no estoy, I don't want to, put a foot down on anybody, like, como yo no estoy queriendo demeritar a nadie. Pero necesariamente es como decir, la Miss Universo no es la más linda del universo, porque maybe in Africa, there's a lady picking up, I don't know, vegetables.
That's beautiful.
Que es la más linda, pero nadie la descubrió.
Yeah.
so, es como, pues puede ser, ¿verdad? Que sí están haciendo un trabajo, porque no puedo decir que no, maybe they are doing, the best that they can, and they will prepare, whatever. But there's so many different styles that eso no existe, porque aquí hay 500,000 escuelas. Que dan un muy buen servicio, y a veces la gente que vota o la gente que tiene acceso a esos polls, o sea, como a la votación esa, ni siquiera se enteran la gente de nuestras escuelas.
And Tato, do you think that winning let's say a competition at the summit would give you the merit to have a good school?
No, not necessarily. Just because you won a competition.
Yo me atrevo a decir que no.
Just like anything, just because you won a competition doesn't mean that, we talk about school, that you have the business aspect, the business mind,
the teaching,
and you have
the education.
the ability Yeah, because again, you let's say that you train for a year or two, and you're one of the most recognizable faces out there, as far as a performer goes. You're an amazing performer, and you should, and always credit is due to where it's deserved,
Mm-hmm.
but not necessarily say where they're the best teachers in the world,
Mm-hmm.
just because they have won the
The
summit. Does
goal.
that make sense? Right?
Yeah.
And so we got to be careful how we perceive it or how we judge it, and our definition of
Mm-hmm.
what it's a good teacher, a good
Or
performer,
school.
Yo sé
or
que
good
tú me van a
school,
caer
or good social
chinche porque tú
dancer.
sabes que yo sé que me van a caer chinche y culebra.
Mm-hmm.
9 veces campeón,
Mm-hmm.
right? Wow, beautiful routine, like speechless. Me quedé con la boca abierta cuando ve la rutina.
Mm-hmm.
¿No la montó él? ¿O no la
Oh,
montaron
yeah.
ellos?
That is something very key. You should say it in English too. Just because you see a champion on the floor doesn't mean that they created the choreography. They could
Okay,
have been
so
hired.
déjame que me vean bien. Mira,
Yeah.
aquí estoy.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Maybe they don't even can social dance.
Mm-hmm.
No pueden bailar social porque lo único que bailan es coreografía. Ellos no
Yeah.
sienten
Correct.
nada. Y el actitud,
Or teach.
horrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, entonces, necesariamente el que sea campeón no significa ni que tenga fundamento, ni que
Mm-hmm.
pueda ejecutar, ni que pueda enseñar, y mucho menos que pueda ser un líder comunitario por las actitudes tan feas que tienen.
Yeah.
Y que le caiga el sello a quien vaya. Porque yo puedo hablar.
I agree. It goes both ways. So you really have to be careful as a student when you have an award-winning studio, blah, 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 blah. You have to be careful with that aspect. And when you have someone that has actually won reputable awards, you have to be very careful with that too. You have to be very careful about which school and teacher do you pick.
As far as the YouTube learner, it gets very touchy, when it comes. If you are a beginner or new student, I completely do not
recommend.
How do you call it? Advocate, or I don't say go into learning through YouTube. Personally, I wouldn't do it. But not to say that once you've built your fundamentals, once you have some structure and you understand your left from your right, and you have some build, some meat, now you're able to kind of look at a YouTube video and dissect and say, that's sound. That's sound teaching. That's a sound pattern. That's something that goes with timing, with flow, good technique. Yeah, let me give it a shot. But back to structure, fundamentals. That's the key. So that's my take as far as YouTube. If you are a beginner and you think, and of course, due to what is going on now in the world and stuff, we may not have the opportunity to take classes. So, as far as now goes, it's, we can go back and we can argue about that all day long. But when you get a chance, and if you have the opportunity as a new student to take classes locally,
es que no sé lo que ustedes piensen. I don't know what you think, but nothing can replace a one-on-one, face-to-face.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's hands-on and it engages more of the learning process when you're one-on-one. But I kind of agree a little bit with Tato, and mostly if you're a beginner, and for example, right now in this pandemic era, and you're choosing an online platform, don't cheat yourself of doing the fundamental online class.
Right.
Don't try to be tempted by clicking on the intermediate turn pattern in the online platform because you want to see what they got and all of that stuff without doing, because I know that the teachers that are doing a lot of online classes right now, at least the credible ones, are giving you levels. And you kind of know your level. So don't be tempted to click the intermediate pattern. Go back. Trust me, you'll get to the intermediate pattern if you work your way through their online curriculum, and because that's what happens a lot. You see them, for example, I know for someone that has been dancing on one for almost 7 years, and they just switched to the online onto, but they're doing an intermediate onto online platform. And I'm like, they're telling me, I don't get it. I don't understand it. There's a reason why you don't get it. You don't understand it because you haven't done all the fundamentals.
Start
Yeah.
from the beginning. Start with the fundamentals. And you know what? The one thing that I experience, again, a lot more of those that are intermediate level or that have taken classes here and there. It's just you don't allow yourself to blossom. You don't allow yourself to mature.
Yeah.
You know, to learn the language correctly. You don't allow yourself to grow. Give yourself time. I mean, I
¿Tú
I
sabes lo
get
que yo
I
hago?
I no, I get it that some
Just,
there may be people that they have a wedding in like 5 months and they got it. So we got to select a few.
Oh yeah.
But but at the end of the day, yo, don't be in a hurry to mature. Just enjoy the process.
Mm-hmm. I
cuando
agree.
vienen así, lo único que le digo es, ok, dime lo básico, báilalo y yo te paso intermedio. Como nunca pueden, pues tú
Yeah.
sabes que se quedan
Oh,
ahí.
I know. Well, I
Okay,
had it's
when you do
hard.
that, then you can.
It's really hard, and we'll talk a little bit on the teaching part. But sometimes, for example, for us, we've had people that they just walked into the studio. They spend 3 minutes in the studio, literally. They walk in, we say, okay, let's do your little evaluation. We said, okay, you're beginner too, and they're like, okay, I'm leaving. I'm not a beginner. I'm not paying for beginner work, and I'm like,
Bye
bye.
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 I'm sorry.
Bye.
Like literally, they spent
Dale.
3 minutes. They walked up the stairs to the studio. You guys have been to the studio, so you know how it is. They do their
Uh-huh.
evaluation and they're gone. And I'm like,
As far as group lessons and private lessons, uh, most of the time, I ask the question, why do you want to do privates than group lesson? Um, Most of the time, I don't ask the person vice versa, why do you want to do group lesson rather than privates? But most of the people that want to do a private, then where's your goal? What do you want to do with this?
mm-hmm,
As far as privates goes, why do you want to take it? And that can kind of give me an idea. Yes, I have a wedding in 6 months that I got, or
mm-hmm,
I got the schedule conflict. I can't make it to classes when I want to, or I have, basic technique, or I need to work on my musicality, need to do styling or whatever it may be, right?
mm-hmm,
And so then we have a plan, and that's okay. This is our goal. Here's a plan, and then execute from there. Um, but definitely, as far as the difference between the group than the private, in a group setting, let's say a lead or follow learns how to lead different follow, follow how to follow different leads.
mm-hmm,
That does not come in a group, in a private lesson, and that's one of the benefits that you get on a group lesson. Of course, pricing. We can talk about pricing all day long.
mm-hmm,
Pricing here and pricing there. But as far as learning goes, on a private, of course, it's tailored to the clients, tailored to the student, and how they want to learn it. And then, of course, they don't affect. It's all about their flow and their
¿Sabes lo que yo
learning curve.
diría? The perfect answer is private versus group is a combination of both.
mm-hmm,
Compra un paquete de 4,
Correct.
6, 10
mm-hmm.
privadas
Yeah.
y a lo mejor haz un paquete con tu maestro, from group classes, and then
Yeah.
whatever you learn in that group class, try to clean it on a private.
Yeah.
So then you can have the best of both worlds. Puedes practicar, liderar diferentes chicas, todas son diferentes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's not such one that is
I
completely.
say too, in a group class, you get to learn and build the community. Because when you are, and that's what happens a lot of people when people focus just on privates, when you go to the social, you only have a relationship with your instructor. And then you tend to be in a corner by yourself, only talking, hey, so I came to the social, and I'm like, yeah,
Right.
okay. But if you're in a group setting and you're rotating and you're getting to meet everyone in the dance community, when you go out to the social, you can at least
Now
say
you have
hi to everyone. You're building a community. You're becoming part of the community.
Correct.
And I think that it's
Good
also
point.
it
Yes.
is. That's what
I
I
like that.
always
Yeah.
say, because you might not know how to dance, but the first social that you go, you know already 5-7 people at the social. But if
Right.
all you're doing is taking private, then the only person you know is the instructor.
Right.
So you have to be careful with that.
There's people, listen, and the aspect of us as studio owners, or as as business owners, is sometimes we understand this is a business, and the fact is that you're going to have some teachers or studio owners that push private lessons. Of course, in the world of vamos a decir, ballroom, that's a very well-known practice, right?
Oh yeah.
And so we have to understand our students, their needs, and understand that as much as we are business owner or business mind, and this is our business, that we do not that we're not driven by the money.
Yeah.
Right. Because then there comes
Ellos se dan cuenta. They will know.
Well,
yeah. Well, when you compare ballroom to, and I will tell you one story that actually happened to Dario and I with someone, and they're probably watching, so I'm not going to mention their name, but we had someone, and they've been dancing, I think it was a year and a half, they said, but they paid for a package at a ballroom studio, and they spent $2,500 on a private package. I think it was about 10, 15 classes or something like that. And with just 3 months at our studio, they were regretting their entire year. They said that it was a waste. They said, I can't believe I didn't find you guys sooner. I just wasted all my money. So in our Latin scene, the money that we're asking for private really doesn't equate to the money that you'll be spending at a ballroom studio, especially when it's not focused on the scene that you're trying to learn. If you're going to a ballroom studio and they're teaching you, for example, salsa, I don't think that's necessarily the place for you to be at. I think if they're teaching you tango, if they're teaching you the foxtrot, if they're teaching you ballroom cha-cha, which is a big other mess in our scene, because we share a name.
Then you go to a social and you see like, oh my God,
Bailando en
uno. That I know.
You know? So we just want everyone to be careful and to know that your teachers, at least in our area right here in the Tampa Bay, they're very well priced. They're really have everything that they need to help you grow. And you're just it's an advantage to you that we have so many good talent right here in the Tampa Bay area. You really don't have to go too far to get exactly what you need.
Y aunque no está con nosotros, Jorgito, que también está en esta área, María Espinosa, Simone, Candy, Erika, no sé si ella sigue continúa.
She's doing some privates.
Even if, we don't see each other, all the time, but, don't think that it's just us, hay un montón de otra gente que también están aquí trabajando. Keila, que también sé que ella da sus privaditas y hace sus cositas aquí. Denis López, perdón, que ese es mi gran amigo Denis también, aunque él está viviendo ahora un poquito más retirado, pero también está aquí.
And do you guys think it's a good idea to start teaching if that's a desire that you have? What do you think it should be one of the things that you need to think about?
Y paso la barra para Tato.
What do you think, Tato?
Gracias, Sonia.
Bueno, si yo trato de ser caballero también. Ven, dale, ahora te toca a ti primero.
As far as somebody wanting to be your teacher, they have to have, again, back to fundamentals. You have to understand, you have to be student of the art before you go and teach it. So I think that we need to have several years of experience under a reputable instructor, teacher, studio that has given you the fundamentals, has given you the platform to grow, learn the culture, and then also has given you the opportunity and then gives you the opportunity to teach under them or teach it in that platform, whether it's once a month, whether it's once a week, whether it's whatever it may be. But you have to have somebody train you, because it's not only learning a material. Listen, as far as teaching goes, there's a lot of different aspects of a teacher. There is communication, connection, understanding how to have a flow with your students, or how to conduct in a group setting, how to keep engaged, keep people engaged, how to deliver your material in a way.
Recognizing learners.
Correct. And people can learn most of the material. So those are the experiences that you learned while you been in a basically under someone or under training as a student
Mm-hmm.
for a while,
Yeah.
for several years, and then take a take a shot at it. But
Yeah.
not every good dancer is a good teacher.
Yep.
So the dancing aspect, just because somebody it's a good dancer, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to become a good teacher. So
Mm-hmm.
just like you learn your basic and your fundamental as a student, and you
Mm-hmm.
learned and you grew and you mature in it, the same thing have to be when you teach. You have to start on what?
Ground
Right
zero.
back to
Mm-hmm.
square one.
I
Right
agree.
now you're doing it as a teacher, not as
Yeah.
a dancer. Now you take the hat, your dancer hat off, and now you put your teacher dance on.
I know.
So now, how can I learn this? Again, the fundamentals ways of teaching it,
Mm-hmm.
rather than the
Yeah.
fundamental ways of dancing.
I
Yo
think
les voy,
another. I'm sorry.
yo les voy a
Another.
hacer un cuento. Yo les voy a hacer un cuentito rápido acerca de eso, porque lo pasé por experiencia propia. Cuando yo empecé hace tantos, tantos, tantos años atrás, no había gente cerca o tanta gente cerca para yo poder aprender a ser maestra. So it was literally an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody broke a foot.
Mm.
Alguien se rompió una pierna y me dijeron, mira, ven aquí, porque me hace falta. Yo bailaba por ahí callejero. Y literalmente me metieron en ese lío de empezar a dar clases. They got me into that mess, right? O sea, que fue un accidente, pero no me quedé ahí. I danced pretty much for 2 years, as much as I can. Yo literalmente llegaba a las 5 de la mañana y cerraba puertas y empezaba a bailar sola. Nosotros bailábamos todos los días, 4 o 5 horas, era una locura. Fue una fiebre que nos dio para aprender a hacer cosas y poder enseñarlas a otra gente. Competition, también competimos, hicimos un montón de cosas en aquel momento, pero me tomó el tiempo para que la gente me respetara. Because I didn't went through the process, como está diciendo Tato.
Mm-hmm.
Me tomó un tiempo en que la gente dijera, bueno, pero ¿de dónde salió? ¿Ves? Tuve que pasar un montón de humillaciones, de cambios de mirada, y no voy a empezar a hablar de todo lo que pasé. O sea, estas son las menos cosas. De gente que hoy en día son mis amigos y que me ven con igual respeto, porque no solamente fue una moda para mí o fue algo que yo hice, no, me metí y lo hice lo mejor que pude y logré sobresalir, pero me tomó muchísimo tiempo porque yo no venía de un background como ninguno de ellos. Entonces, para los que quieren ser maestros, no lo hagan así, porque es mucho trabajo.
Oh, I know. I say a lot of people are very lucky now that there's so much out there, because for I would say we're second generation of salsa educators. Our first generation really didn't have anything.
Gente,
you have to remember how
20
Eddie Torres,
años atrás no había nada.
You have to remember how Eddie Torres started teaching how to dance. The whole reason why we have mambo right now is because he stopped with a conga in front and he's like, well, let me try to figure this out so then I can show you. It's very humble beginnings, but one of the
pero a lo que me refiero es, yo lo hice así porque no había mucho, pero ahora si tienes las herramientas, if you have the tools, if you have the people that can keep you from all this mess that we did at the beginning, porque nosotros metimos la pata 15,000 veces. Lo que pasa es que fuimos consistentes y la pasión era mucho más, y el sueño, o sea, no fue el combustible. Pero si hay tantas herramientas ahora y tanta gente que te puede evitar todo eso, tal vez por eso fue que creamos un estilo bien diferente, porque como no había nada, lo creamos nosotros mismos. Bueno, ¿cómo enseñar esto? Vamos a ver. Pues espérate, lo tuvimos que literalmente parir. Parir.
I agree also with Tato a lot, because one of the things that I have with people that approach us saying that, oh, we wanna be teachers is, okay, you're thinking about teaching right now, but teaching how to dance and dancing and being a social dancer is 100.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're taking, like Tato saying, you're taking off your student hat, you're becoming an educator. It's not just a teacher. So a lot of people want, for example, just the curriculum. Okay, I'm going to show you Suzy Q, a copa, and a hammerlock, and that's it. But there's so much involved in being an educator of dance. It's not just the steps and the patterns that you're teaching and the footwork. Can you teach a Suzy Q to someone that is hear impaired? Can you teach a Suzy Q to someone that has one leg? Can you teach a Suzy Q to someone that doesn't speak English or doesn't speak Spanish? You know, because there's also the language barrier. So you have to, as an educator of dance, you're taking on all these other aspects into becoming a dance instructor. You know, you also have the culture. If you're going to be teaching salsa, you're going to have to learn the history of salsa so that you could tell them where it started, how to go. Like, we need to stop people from, teachers from saying, I've heard teachers say this, that, oh, salsa was born in Puerto Rico. I'm sorry, where did you get your education? Like, don't.
There you go.
You're feeding this to a set of 30 students and telling them salsa is from Puerto Rico, but then what you're telling me as an instructor is that you don't know the history of salsa. But we're going to talk about studios and teaching now during this pandemic time, because it's a very tricky and very, how can I say, very delicate issue to talk about. Should we open? Should we not open? How should classes be conducted right now? And we're just going to give you guys our perspective on how this new world of teaching during the pandemic is going.
Bueno, Tato la está haciendo ahora mismo. Yo realmente no estoy, I'm not teaching, you know, I didn't open anything yet. We were talking about having an outing, you know, like going outside and you know, open sky, maybe in a couple of weeks. But we will let everybody knows, you know, like I'm just doing privates because it's the only thing that I can have, you know, access right now. But Tato, you know, your studio is open. I think that you have more input than me.
Yeah, you know, as far as this thing, you know, it's been very difficult and trying to a lot of us who do have a studio, you know, not undermining those that do have location and rent and all that stuff, but we have a physical location. So with that comes a responsibility and comes some monetary responsibility that we need to cover. But anyways, as far as the studio goes and the structure that we have implemented to make this thing work at the moment, and again, it's all about abiding by the guidelines. So the way we do it at my studio is I have, you know, blue taped squares. I have basically have the guidelines right at the door. I do temperature checks at the door. You have to wear a mask, and everything is handled with distance, you know, so that way we are able to operate in that level. Now, I understand that not everyone is comfortable with that, and so a lot of, you know, our current students have not come back, have taken a break, and that is okay, and that's fine. Then I have had many of our students and new students that have decided and make the decision, hey, I'm going to continue on. I need to go and I need to learn and grow. And of course, we'll abide by the guidelines and we'll and do come and take their classes. And we minimize rotation. So that way we're not basically rotating and having too much of that going on. And then we space them out, you know, we space people out, couples out as best as we can. And again, I don't operate at the full capacity, but definitely, you know, operating. And I am very grateful. I want to say a big thank you to all of our student base and our people in Tampa that support us and have been supporting us through this thing. Because at the end of the day, if it's not for your support, that's basically it. I will have to close the doors. I mean,
for us, it hit us extra hard in Sarasota. And I agree with Tato in that there is a difference when you rent studio space and when you are a full-length studio owner. And I think a lot of people need to understand that there's a lot of cost that goes into having a physical building. And Sonia, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to pick you guys to have the discussion, because we all have been studio owners. We know how much it costs to put mirrors up. We know how much insurance costs, the water bill, the electricity, and all of that stuff. And it's really
Solo el papel de baño y la servilleta,
the toilet
se
paper,
gastan.
todo. And it's a little different when you're renting space, because when you're renting space, you rent a space for an hour, but all the
It's
other
already
costs,
equipping, yeah?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing else unless you're a responsible teacher and you add insurance to yourself, which I know a
Cuando
lot of
paguen
people.
300 de luz
I know.
mensuales,
Me lo
sabrán.
dice. So our particular situation, and for everyone that's watching, we lost our studio during the second month of the pandemic. It's gone, and we're renting studio space. And Tato said that, yeah, we got the PPE and all that stuff. But one of the main things that happened with us is that when they first threw out the first grant, for example, we didn't qualify because it was for people that had employees. So then that money was gone. Then the second round of it, they wanted people that had employees. We really didn't have contracted employees that we gave a check, so we didn't qualify. And while all these grants and things were going through, let's say week 4, week 6, week 10, the landlord were still charging full rent.
Collecting
Not just a portion of the rent, but full rent. And for us, and I'll be 100% honest, we were paying
a closed studio that not even making
that no
sense.
one is going. We're not generating any income. And for our particular space, and you guys have been there, we had 2 rooms. We were on the second floor. We were on Main Street. It was $3,000 a month. $3,000 a month. The water bill came in full, and the electricity bill came in full, even with the lights off. Which to me was like, yeah, God, there's nobody there. The AC is off. Everything is off. You're still charging me the exact same
Pero supuestamente
electricity.
es porque no pueden entrar a ver el metro y la están cobrando y que así. Yo me quedé como que...
Yeah, so it's insane. And unfortunately, we had to close the doors, and we are in almost 10 grand in debt. 10 grand in debt. And we made a decision to say, okay, we have to see how we're going to try to get back on our feet, because sadly, this is our story here in Sarasota. And we were lucky enough because, yes, we sent out emails trying to see where we could rent some space to go. And we were lucky enough that we partnered with Flight Fitness, and they allowed us to use their space because they are also struggling. That's one
I don't know
things.
if you read something that I posted like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. I was thinking about all the people that lost, their studios, and fue algo que pensé.
Yeah.
Porque lo he visto tanto. Tengo muchos amigos, Suramérica, Centroamérica, no solamente aquí en Estados Unidos, en Europa. Everybody is losing everything, and it's so sad to see over and over those posts that said, unfortunately, we're closing doors. So culture is like going, it's not going to disappear. No se va a morir la cultura, pero es tan triste ver los sueños y tantas buenas compañías like going, van para abajo, todo el mundo va para abajo sin excepción de nadie. Y quisieras ayudar más, pero no puedes, porque el mismo gobierno, o sea, la burocracia y todo como está hecho, no permite ayudar mucho. Y te digo, es súper triste ver gente que los has visto competir, los has visto desarrollarse, estar muchos años, so many years, and they are losing everything. It is devastating.
But what I would say is also, just like Tato said, is be very careful about safety precautions, and Tato stated all of the safety precautions that he's taking, and know that we at DK, we're also doing a lot abiding by all the CDC guidelines. Masks are mandatory. Social distancing is mandatory. Right now, when we do a
sanitizer,
well, everyone has to wash their hands when they come in. And you have to sanitize before you touch anything. And we sanitize the studio before people walk in and after. So then it stays as sterile as we possibly can. And yes, we understand that some of us are apprehensive to go back to the studio. If you feel comfortable going to the studio, know that your studios are doing everything they can to keep you safe. If you're not, if there's some other way that your studio is offering something else that you can help support. If Tato's doing online classes, go and check it out. If he's doing privates, go and check it out, because every little thing will help that that studio.
Tengo que decir algo porque también es importante, o sea, a pesar de que, bueno, yo voy a hablar de mi caso en particular. Yo no cualifico para ninguna de las ayudas del gobierno ni nada de eso. But that doesn't make me, go hustle on the wrong one, El hecho de que no esté generando a lo mejor ahora como generaba al principio o que no esté haciendo las mismas cosas no me va a hacer las cosas incorrectas.
Correcto.
Porque siempre there's always a way, to make and when, go through the situation. Not because of that. Yo llevo 5 meses sin trabajar, voy a hacer un social porque quiero dinero para pagar mis cosas. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that because it's not because it's wrong, but it will, it's hazard to everybody else.
Yes.
So, mi estudiante, mi familia alguien dijo algo así y me parece, mantengámonos separados para que cuando estemos juntos no falte ninguno.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't want anybody
Missing.
to be missed because of this.
I like that. I like
that too.
Una cosa de que no sé, but there's nowhere where it states or it says that this thing will not, it's going to, just, and that's it, that we're not going to supersede it. We're not going to learn and grow from it. We're not going to live on after the, como okay, this is it. This is the end. This is not, this is not the end. We're going to learn to live with it and adjust and be smart about it and continue growing. But more than anything, I think it should bring us more to recognize, not to take things for granted, because I think one of the main things for me was like, boy, I there's times where the whole dance here and the socials here and everything else, and then you sit back without a social, without certain things, the teaching or without, and then y a veces tú piensas, you think, and you take it for granted.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wow, I really understand why I love what I do, or love why we have certain things. And
it's a time to share. It's a time to not criticize. It's a time for love.
Yeah.
Compassion.
And I would say also try to help find solutions. If you have an idea of something that the studios can be doing during this time, and feel free to send us a message and let us know, maybe
que nos dejen saber abajo de la clase que vamos a hacer afuera. Si alguien quiere ir y si, if you like to do it, like get together, but outside, mira, a López Park que es abierto, que hay mucho espacio, podemos hacer algo, llevar una bocina y bailar un poco sin tocarnos, sino como free, like shines, maybe, something that we can do without even touching each other, but with good space, because we need to get back a little bit. Necesitamos mantener aunque sea alguito vivo y es importante. Okay?
Well, I would say it's key that we, at the very least, we survive. That we stay a little bit afloat, and whatever it is that we can do to find solutions to make it work until everything gets back to as normal as it can. And anything else you guys want to?
Sí, que los queremos mucho a toditos, que los extrañamos, que estamos locos por abrazarlos y besarlos, que nada ha cambiado, solamente pues, ¿verdad? Ha cambiado mucho, pero nada ha cambiado con nuestros sentimientos y con nuestra pasión y con lo que nos gusta hacer, y que manténganse sanos y cuidándose para que todos estemos y no falte ninguno.
Yo diría positivo, man. Manténgase positivo lo mejor posible. Just stay positive as best you can. There's just already too much negativity out there. There's just too much craziness going on. A kind word, something that you can say to somebody to lift them up. Encourage. Don't tear down. I think it's, bottom line is we all have different positions or different circumstances and different experiences. So who are we to judge? We just have to understand that there's different level for different people and try to be understanding, a little bit more compassionate, because I think that's the word, compassionate. Just let's be more human, more compassionate.
Empáticos. Sí, porque desde mi situación yo no puedo juzgarlo a él, porque yo no sé la posición en la que él esté, ¿entiendes? Para mí es fácil decir, porque yo estoy en este lado de la cerca y no veo lo que pasa al otro lado. Tenemos que tener un poquito más de cuidado también con las redes sociales. Social media is killing, and everybody's fighting with each other. Like stuff that is very personal. I know that there's some, major issues that we have to address, and we have our position, and it's not debating about that. But you know what? Everybody have their own mind, and everybody have their own choice, and everybody have the right to think the way that they want. And I cannot take anything personal because I'm not included, because I'm not, thinking the same way. I have to be, like, I have to have common sense. Si no me gustó lo que escribió, ¿por qué tienen que poner, si no te gusta lo que escribo, unfriend me? Ya eso es agresivo. Es como que yo lo encuentro como que tan niños. I was like,
high school.
Why you say that? Why you say that?
High school.
I always say that it takes more energy to be negative and to be combative, and it takes a little bit less energy. It's actually a physical reaction of the body when you can just let go.
Y si tienes que tener una palabra con alguien porque piensas diferente, poniéndole una primera frase de que si no te gusta lo que digo, deja de ser mi amigo. Eso no es la forma en que tú haces que una persona cambie a lo mejor o vea la perspectiva de lo que tú le quieres enseñar. Lo que haces es subir la barrera, ¿entiendes? De que, pues sabes que ya viene negativo, ya viene con los puños, los guantes puestos. We have to know how we speak, being a little bit mature. O sea, hablan de madurez, pero se comunican en una forma tan inmadura que me hace ni siquiera querer leer lo que escribes. So you're defending a point, I understand, but se casa más con miel que con fuego.
You catch more flies with honey than with poison. But we want to thank you guys so much for being here with us and for joining us for this little conversation. Remember, any suggestions, comments, any videos you guys want to see in the future, just comment below, and please stay safe.
Esta es la segunda semana. No sé si seguimos haciendo cositas así.
We'll try
hablando con la gente.
Educating the masses, but we just want.
Pero so far la hemos pasado súper bien. Yo no sé ustedes, pero yo me he divertido muchísimo. Me encanta.
I had a really good time too.
Yeah.
But we want to thank you all so much. We love you, and stay safe, and we'll see you around.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
We'll see
Bye, guys.
Bye.